Good morning, everybody. Thank you so much for joining. My name is Jordan Lederman. I'm the sales director of 160 Marina Bay, which is a beautiful new boutique condominium project we are building in the heart of Fort Lauderdale. Welcome to another episode of Under the Palms, our panel series where we talk about all things Fort Lauderdale. Today, we are extremely excited. We have two amazing guests. We have Mayor Dean Trantalis, the Mayor of Fort Lauderdale, and Bob Swindell, the CEO of Greater Fort Lauderdale Alliance. So Bob and Mayor Dean, thank you so much for joining us today.
Happy to be here and thank you.
Terrific. Guys, before we get started, I'm going to tell you a little bit more about our project, 160 Marina Bay, and I'm going to get some visuals up on the screen for everybody to see. But 160 Marina Bay, we are a brand new boutique condominium project right in the heart of Fort Lauderdale, off of Las Olas on Isle of Venice Drive. We are a 16-unit boutique building with 3,000 square foot units. It is going to be the most luxurious project and condo building in the area. Massive units. We have a 14 boat slip private marina in the back. Fort Lauderdale is known as the Venice of America. It is the yachting capital of the world with more registered yachts in Fort Lauderdale than anywhere else in the world. And that's the reason we do have a 14 boat slip private marina on our project. We're located about 1.4 miles directly from the heart of Fort Lauderdale Beach. And for everybody that knows, Fort Lauderdale does have some of the most beautiful beaches in the state of Florida. It's also a boater's paradise. It's known as the Venice of America as we have a ton of canals, the intracoastal places to pull up along the water, restaurants, bars, places like that for your boat. Our project is located directly on Isle of Venice Drive. We're towards the far end of the aisle facing east. So it's more private and you have a beautiful view over the multi-million-dollar mansions across the way. And again, we are 1.4 miles from the heart of Fort Lauderdale Beach to the east. And to the west, we have everything on Las Olas. Las Olas is the main drag of Fort Lauderdale. Here's all your bars, restaurants, your art galleries, places to visit. You have the NSU Art Museum and more places like that. So our location is superb. We're 8 minutes from the Brightline Station. The Brightline Station will take you directly to Miami in under 30 minutes, to the south, Palm Beach to the north in another 30 minutes, and eventually it's going to connect to Orlando. So that's going to be really amazing. So we are centrally located within Southeast Florida. We're the largest city in Broward County, and we're directly in the middle. Here's a beautiful overview of our location. You can take your boat from your backyard, go right out the intracoastal and be in the Atlantic Ocean in less than 20 minutes. And then in the meantime, it's a beautiful view. It's a beautiful route along to the Atlantic Ocean, and you have a ton of places to stop and grab a bite to eat on the way. We will have a beautiful pool, lounge chairs, cabanas, and a barbecue area in our as part of our amenities. Our lobby will also consist of a self-service package locker system. So for all those new groceries and deliveries, they will put it directly into a locker system in the lobby. You'll be notified on your phone to go get your packages. Our units will be the most high-tech units that you will see, from one of the 5 touch panels throughout the unit or your phone or your voice activation. You can control everything, the lighting, the window treatments, the temperature. You can even tell your master bathroom shower to turn on in case you don't want to get into a cold shower. Our units will have 10-foot ceilings. Our corner units will have massive wraparound terraces. Floors are imported direct from Italy, large porcelain tiles. This is your view from the 4th floor. You can see just how beautiful it's going to be. And they will be super luxurious. So you can see the quartz countertops, the cabinets in the kitchen and the wet bar are imported direct from Italy as well. Beautiful views along the windows, and you can see this luxurious feel. We have 2-tone cabinets. You'll see the matte black finishes throughout the entire unit. And our terraces will be extremely deep. So outdoor space is something very important for our units. We'll have very deep terraces where you can fit a couch and sitting area, and also a dining table if you wish. Our design is very modern in style, but it still keeps that sophisticated and elegance that Fort Lauderdale is known for. So we're really proud of our designer and our architect who did the building. And here's a nighttime rendering as well. For more information on the project, you can go to 160marinabay.com. Our prices start from $2.2 million to $2.5 million for the penthouse units. We still are offering first level pricing. This is our family and friend tier 1 pricing. We'll be breaking ground in a couple weeks. After that, we will start to increase the prices. And our delivery for the project, we are saying Q2 of 2022. So it'll be ready in just about 14 months. With that being said, I do want to turn it over to our guests to talk about Fort Lauderdale, its growth and opportunities for business. So Mayor Dean Trantalis and Bob Swindell, thank you so much for joining. We really appreciate your time and being here.
Well, hi, Jordan, and good morning, and thank you for inviting us here. Sounds like a great project, very exciting. One of many that you'd find here in Fort Lauderdale, but certainly yours is at the cutting edge of design and elegance. So congratulations, and I wish you the best and best in the future on this project as it's completed. It's interesting that that the project is located on the Isle of Venice, because the Isles are certainly the one of the most significant parts of living in Fort Lauderdale. It's a beautiful area, many homes on the canals and the intercoastal. It's what, as you said earlier, the Venice of America, what makes Fort Lauderdale so unique and special. Oftentimes people say, where is Fort Lauderdale? Is it somewhere near Miami? But that statement is so much in the past today. People have already discovered Fort Lauderdale. They have known it now as a destination. It has become a place where people feel comfortable because of its diversity. People from all walks of life and different countries and faiths and beliefs, and it's a unique location for so many people to want to locate here. And the wonderful thing is we have a very inviting business climate. The city loves to partner with businesses that look to locate here. We have worked closely with the Greater Fort Lauderdale Alliance and Bob Swindell and his folks to continue to encourage people to look at Fort Lauderdale as a choice destination. With our education system being well-known and award-winning, our community is safe and our streets are clean, and it's as you said, we have one of the best beaches in the whole Southeast United States. So it's a very inviting place. It's very family friendly, and it's a great place to start a career and build that family that too often you say, oh, it's too expensive to be somewhere else. Fort Lauderdale is a place to be.
Terrific. And Mayor, how are you and partners like Bob and the Greater Fort Lauderdale Alliance, how are you guys attracting new businesses? Because we all hear about it on the news about so many people moving down from other states and just everyone coming to Southeast Florida. And at the project, we have a lot of buyers from out of state as well as local. But how are you working to attract new businesses to the Fort Lauderdale area?
Bob, why don't you go ahead?
Thanks. Thank you, Mayor. Mayor touched on the connectivity. The mayor is also one of our executive committee members of the Alliance, so he's intimately familiar with what we're doing to build the Greater Fort Lauderdale brand. Jordan, you touched on a lot of the key aspects of Fort Lauderdale, what makes it attractive. We've been branding and building our business brand for the past decade under the moniker Life Less Taxing. And that, you can play with those words a little bit. Less taxing, we have a phenomenal tax climate, no personal income tax, very attractive local tax rates. The city has done a phenomenal job of reinvesting back into our community. And that's part of what you'll see with development across the city. But it's also the scale of Fort Lauderdale is special. We have companies that visit throughout South Florida trying to figure out where they might want to have a location. And each of our counties in South Florida have distinct personalities. And the scale of Fort Lauderdale is what people most frequently comment on. You mentioned Las Olas. It is the Worth Avenue of Fort Lauderdale. Great shops, great way to spend time with family and friends that visit. Very walkable, and that's what you'll see about more and more in Fort Lauderdale. We have a high-speed train that connects to our three county seats. So anywhere from downtown Miami up to West Palm Beach, you've got great connectivity. The Bright Line is suspended temporarily because of COVID, but we've been talking to them quite a bit, and the mayor is actually working on some additional locations for train stations. But that connectivity is incredibly important. So if you're coming here to work, we tell people you don't have to wait till you're ready to retire to come to Florida or Fort Lauderdale. Don't deny yourself that great quality of life. Come now, bring your business. If you want to come down here and find a job, you're you're in a county, you're in a region of 6 million people. We have a history of innovation. One of the things that we work on branding right now is our tech gateway. The technology development in South Florida is pretty phenomenal, and people aren't necessarily aware of that. Like if you ask someone where was the first IBM PC developed, they would probably say Rochester, New York, or somewhere else outside of Florida. But that was developed in South Florida. The very first smartphone, the precursor to what we're using today, the Simon, was developed. It was a combination of Motorola, IBM, and Bell South working together. And that tradition of innovation is strong here. We've got companies like Citrix that have grown up in this area. Ultimate Software is now part of UKG. So what we do is really communicate to the rest of the world that the business brand is very strong for Fort Lauderdale. There's lots of reasons to be here from a work perspective, as well as a great place to spend your time when you're not in the office. You mentioned taking your boat out to the ocean. When I'm working with boaters, and I'm an active boater myself, I'm like, you can take your boat to your office in downtown Fort Lauderdale. We've got transient docks along the river. You can tie up, go into the office for a few hours, take a client out for lunch on your boat, come back to the office for a couple hours, and then head home. And that's the kind of Venice of America that Fort Lauderdale really is. So capturing the quality of that lifestyle is really important, and that's a big part of what we do at the Alliance.
Amazing. Yeah, so you heard it from Bob himself. You don't need a car. You can take your boat to work. No, it really is amazing. And the downtown with the river, and it all just runs and connects. And that is why we are the Venice of America, which is amazing. Bob, your quote that you mentioned, or that you guys have for part of the Alliance, life less taxing, I do borrow it a lot, because I think 3 words sum up our lifestyle so perfectly, where not only is it less taxing financially, but your life is less taxing with the beach, under the palm trees. And that's what Fort Lauderdale is about. So it's a great quote.
The scale of this community is really what makes it incredibly attractive. And it's just growing. The mayor, has watched, our city has matured and become more sophisticated. Our Performing Arts Center is one of the top performing arts centers in the country. We have more of our public school kids go through programs at our Performing Arts Center than anywhere else in the country. Number one, in engagement with students. Example, Hamilton, the very first visit to Florida, came to our Performing Arts Center, which is right on the river in downtown Fort Lauderdale. So that's the caliber of cultural amenities that are here. And it really, adds to the quality of life. I had a business client in over the weekend, and we took him to lunch yesterday. And so I always ask, so how did you spend your weekend? Because most folks, when they're scouting out locations, they like, to be on their own and not be guided. They want to discover the good things and maybe the not good things on their own. And he lives in the Tribeca area, and he's a foodie. And he said, my girlfriend and I went to some amazing restaurants in Fort Lauderdale, and he rattled off a few of them. But he said, I was really impressed. I'm sort of a snob from Tribeca. I think, Fort Lauderdale is not going to have the caliber of restaurants, but what you're finding here is that sophistication is improving, and we're maturing as a community. We're a lot more than a beach town. We have a very engaged business community, and as you watch the area grow with the quality of residential and office space, you've got state-of-the-art buildings. We've got a new downtown building that was just built, again, very much like your development, state-of-the-art technology. For a commercial office space. So for companies that are thinking about relocating as well, Broward County, Greater Fort Lauderdale offers a lot of choices and benefits.
Terrific. And in your opinion, Mayor, why don't you take this one, but what makes Fort Lauderdale distinctive compared to places like West Palm or Miami to the north and the south?
People are asking that question time and again. And the best way to answer that is to come to Fort Lauderdale. You see it for yourself. We have, I think our community is the most diverse community as compared to those other cities. And I think that the cultural mix is very important. The attitude that we have to embrace diversity is really, really important. And I think that talk about scale, as Bob Swindell just spoke about. Not feeling overwhelmed by the urbanism of other cities. but at the same time, having the benefits, the amenities that an urban environment offers. We're growing in that regard. The city of Fort Lauderdale is investing in infrastructure to ensure that the capacity that we are now seeking to achieve in terms of new development is going to be sustained with underground infrastructure, water, sewer, transportation, all of that, making sure that people aren't overwhelmed by the growth that oftentimes is beleaguering, and it's really important because you can come to our beach, and we have a wonderful beach, and people say, why come to Fort Lauderdale? Well, it's a fun time, it's a great time, it's a safe time, and we encourage families to be here. Our spring break, for example, stood out amongst all the beaches in Florida as being one of the most enjoyable, safe, and inviting place to come to spend their spring vacation. But spring vacation is every week in Fort Lauderdale, January through December. It's a great time, and I think that especially during times of COVID, we're very respectful of the COVID protocols that are being defined by the CDC, and there's nowhere you could go where people aren't wearing masks. You can't go into a store, you can't go into a restaurant where the staff isn't already wearing masks, and that's important. People need to know that when they come to Fort Lauderdale that they're going to be safe. But at the same time, we're not so restrictive. We have no curfews. We don't push people into their hotel rooms after 8 o'clock at night, because we know that the best and safest place for people to be is in the open air, being on our sidewalk cafes and restaurants, to be at the beach, to be away from the congestion that often produces the pandemic spread. So we understand how to coexist with COVID. We understand how to manage the spread of the disease. But at the same time, we realize that it's important that people get back to business, get back to work. Hey, I moved here in my 20s, and I decided I was going to start a career here. People say, why are you coming to Fort Lauderdale? It's for old people. It's no longer for old people. This city is up and going. We have so many new nightclubs and restaurants. It's a city with multiple personalities. We have something for everyone. And in our new downtown, we definitely have a vitality and a growth and a spirit that is going to take Fort Lauderdale into this 21st century with a bang. So we're excited about it, and so happy to be mayor of the city, and so happy to be able to work with people like Bob Swindell to make the success happen.
Great, that's terrific. Are there specific, and Mayor and Bob, this can go to both of you, but are there specific industries that you guys are targeting to come down to Fort Lauderdale or move to the area?
Yes, so a big part of what we focus on, our hospitality has always been one of our underpinnings of our economy, and it's an important part and why we're such a great place to visit. Probably more restaurants per capita than what you would find in a typical community our size, because we have this great visitor population that comes in on a regular basis, and we have a lot more international tourists coming than 20 years ago. To the mayor's point about diversity, we have a large technology company here called Magic Leap that's working on spatial computing, which is essentially the next version of virtual reality. And they're trying to recruit engineers from South Korea and other parts of the world. And when they bring engineers here for a little orientation of what a job would be like in Fort Lauderdale, people are quickly impressed, and they feel very comfortable with the fact that it's such a diverse population that you blend in pretty quickly. You don't feel like you're an outsider. And that's an important part of the quality. And the mayor takes that to heart and is very inclusive in the way he works with folks, and the message that we want to get out about why Greater Fort Lauderdale, and Fort Lauderdale in particular, is a great place to live. For industries, I mentioned a little bit about technology. We've been branding our technology prowess under the Tech Gateway, which is work in the cloud, live in the sun. And man, if that hasn't excuse me, if that hasn't really resonated with individuals that have been working remotely, and have been spending more time at home instead of at the office, that message has really brought folks to the point where I could live anywhere and do a good bit of my work. Why not live in Fort Lauderdale? Aviation is another key area for us. People, don't necessarily remember that Eastern Airlines was founded and built in Miami. But that created an aviation culture that stretches all the way up from Miami through Fort Lauderdale. It's one of our fastest growing industries. We have one of the largest aviation clusters in the country, is based in the Broward County area. So we're a county of about 2 million people in the middle of about 6 million people that live in the Tri-County area. So when you're looking at job opportunities or for potential employees, if you have a business here, with the connectivity of things like Brightline, it's really easy to recruit from folks throughout all 3 counties. Pharmaceutical manufacturing and medical device manufacturing, Stryker has a large facility here. They actually make robotic arms that do knee and hip replacement. But those machines are actually built here in South Florida. So you've got the skill set, the patent holders that are doing that kind of innovation that live here in South Florida. And then the one retention play that we talk a lot about is our marine industries. We have the #1 yachting community in the world. I mean, we are the destination. If you need to have your yacht serviced, you come to Fort Lauderdale. Captains love coming to this community. Their owners love spending time here. So you'll find we've got amazing shipyards up the river that can handle, mega yachts. I mean, 300, 400 foot yachts that come into Broward County and Fort Lauderdale and get serviced. The reputation for craftsmanship is unparalleled anywhere in the country. So that's one of the reasons we talk about Venice of America, but the yachting capital of the world is what Fort Lauderdale is known for. And our International Boat Show, which is every October, end of October, early November, is a phenomenal opportunity to come visit Fort Lauderdale. Our FBOs, our private aviation airports get flooded with aircraft coming down for the show. But it is the world's largest boat show. Monaco is the one that comes closest to us, and we're larger than Monaco. So when you look at the impact that industry has, so if you're in the trades business, you're doing carpentry work, tile work, and you're working on yachts, you're at the peak of your career if you're working in those types of environments, and that's the type of quality craftsmanship that Fort Lauderdale has built a reputation around.
Great.
And Jordan,
that's amazing.
Jordan, let me just add to what Bob has said.
Sure.
In addition to the attractions that we have in terms of boating industry and yachting and the beach, so what do kids do? What do families do when they come to Fort Lauderdale and live here? And the wonderful thing that we have is we have both participation sports and spectator sports that are unique to Fort Lauderdale. For example, this weekend alone, we will be doing the final ribbon cutting for the new Inter Miami Beckham Soccer Stadium, a new MLS team that has located here in Fort Lauderdale, built the most magnificent soccer stadium in the entire system of the MLS community. And so what does that mean? That means that Fort Lauderdale has now become the focus of not just the spectator sport, but also the system of students and kids learning to play soccer, practice fields, being able to bring young kids into the sport, being able to have their families watch and grow with them. We now know that the Montreal team is probably going to make Fort Lauderdale its home base for the next season, simply because of COVID issues. So we're going to see an awful lot of that, all here centered in Fort Lauderdale. Our hockey team, the Panthers, a winning team this year. I mean, just an amazing results that they've been able to achieve. They are now going to build ice skating rinks here in our city. One as a practice rink for their team, and another as a skating rink for families just to use year round. It's amazing. To be able to have something like that right here in your backyard is something that promotes more and more family-friendly activities that we want to see in Fort Lauderdale. So these are the types of things we're working on. The Everett Tennis Center, which is now located in Boca del Rey, we're in talks with them to bring that family name back to Fort Lauderdale, where Chrissy Everett and her father, in fact, her father's name is on our existing tennis center, and hoping to bring her school of tennis to our city. So these are more and more things that we're looking to do in our city, in addition to, of course, our world famous venue of our International Swimming Hall of Fame and Aquatic Center. The city is investing over $43 million in rehabilitating and reviving what was once the center of international competition for diving and swimming. We're going to have the tallest diving platform in the world, the tallest stationary diving platform, 27 meters. Jordan, I'll see you out there.
I'm afraid of heights. I don't know if I can do that.
But these are opportunities that are unique to Fort Lauderdale, that make it special, that give it its signature brand, that we will continue to foster and promote for generations to come. So the excitement that this builds as a community, the pride that we have, knowing that this is right in our home, are part of the reasons why people want to come to Fort Lauderdale, because it's something that they can participate in. They can also watch, and they can also feel like they're part of a community that's growing and that's inclusive.
That's amazing. Yeah, those are all exciting things. And I was actually going to ask you about the soccer stadium. That was part of my question. So thanks for touching on that. Fort Lauderdale and Broward, Miami gets a lot of buzz in the news. I know a lot of times when it does, they're really referring to the whole Southeast Florida community. How does Fort Lauderdale benefit by being right in the middle, with Miami-Dade to the south, Palm Beach to the north? Because we've had a lot of buyers where their company is either moving to Fort Lauderdale, Palm Beach, or Miami, but they prefer to live in Fort Lauderdale. So how does Fort Lauderdale benefit being in the middle, and what type of things are you guys doing to kind of connect everything? I know the Bright Line is a huge topic of conversation always, but what other ways are you guys working to connect the Tri-County area?
Well,
Go ahead.
Go ahead, Mayor. I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Well, a couple things that I think just really reinforces how the residents, support our elected officials. Fort Lauderdale just did a public bond offering for new parks. Voters overwhelmingly supported it. So more green space in Fort Lauderdale, and Mayor Trantalis and his colleagues on the commission are allocating more park space, but then, improving on the parks that we have, because we realize, now more than ever, people realize how important it is to be able to be outside and spend time with family. And, we've got a phenomenal climate for that. We also passed a penny sales tax for transportation in Broward County. So now we have, significant financial resources. The mayor mentioned, we're investing in an infrastructure for, planned growth as this community continues to be a popular destination for people. We want the quality of life to remain, as it is, and improve, and not become, bogged down with traffic and things like that. So we're investing in technology and how we manage traffic. So that's, a big part of what Broward County is doing. And then you mentioned, Jordan, the geographic, we're in the center of an amazing region in the country, one of the fastest growing areas. Our airport is one of the, I heard yesterday, is one of the fastest recovering airports of its size in the nation. We've got great connectivity. We have 3 international airports in South Florida, but with connectivity like Brightline, you've got, great choices. We've got 3 ports here as well. So when you look at the infrastructure throughout the Tri-County area, 7 private aviation airports, a lot of that infrastructure exists here. And the beauty of Fort Lauderdale is in the middle. When we talked about scale, we're the only county, Fort Lauderdale is downtown and the beach. When you look at other counties in South Florida, that's not the case. One of our pioneers, she walked every day from downtown down Las Olas to the beach and back. And that's one of the reasons that Ivy Stranahan lived as long as she did. You can't do that in Miami, and you can't really do it in Palm Beach either, and still be in the same city. So Fort Lauderdale has the uniqueness that it's both the beach and the downtown, and you've got a policy making and a government that understands the value of that and the importance of that, and the balance. We want to make sure that what we're doing on the Barrier Island reflects what downtown can handle, and so you've got that balance in this community, and Broward County and Fort Lauderdale are very unique in that way.
Definitely. Bob, we noticed that too. Our sales center for the project, we're right on Las Olas, between the downtown and the beach. So we're never bored at the sales center. We have these big windows, and we really watch everybody go to downtown to the beach and vice versa. And biking, walking, golf carts. So it's really nice how you do have the downtown so close to the beach, especially right off of Las Olas. It's really nice. Let me just mention real fast, for any of our attendees, if you do have any questions for Bob or Mayor Dean. There is a Q&A box at the bottom. So just type in your questions there. We're going to try to answer some towards the end. And we only have a few more minutes. So if you do have some questions, now would be a good time to ask. Mayor Trantalis, let me ask you a question. Where do you see the growth of Fort Lauderdale over the next 5 to 10 years, taking into the factor that there's just so many people moving down to the area right now?
Right now, we're experiencing the growth in our downtown area, but it also spilling out into some of our neighborhoods. A lot of neighborhoods that have really been neglected or overlooked over the years, people are taking a second look at the real estate and saying, hey, we can build a project here. We can revitalize this area. And so that's exciting because it helps, economic development helps solve so many problems in terms of crime and blight. And we're happy to see investors from really all over the world coming to Fort Lauderdale, seeing the potential here, and really helping to shape the future of the city. And the thing is that, you know, coming to our city, to respond to your question about, what are we doing collectively amongst the 3 counties in South Florida? I've met with city officials, Mayor Suarez in Miami, Scott Singer of Boca Raton. We've met and tried to talk about how we can brand South Florida as in a singular fashion to try to attract businesses from all over the country and all over the world, in particular tech industries. So we're looking to attract tech industries, financial service industries, in addition to maintaining our status in the marine and hospitality business, and of course the real estate business being very robust. Is always the mainstay in our community, and we're so thankful that we have tremendous talent in the real estate industry that continues to bring wonderful people to our city, and it's not just your second home anymore. People are making this their first home, and wherever they came from, their second home, if at all they stay there. We're seeing top executives from all over the world coming and buying in Fort Lauderdale. So why live in Fort Lauderdale? Because the quality of life here is unlike any other place. I've lived here almost 40 years now, and I can tell you that the quality of life in this community has so blossomed in such a good way. The renaissance that we're now experiencing here in our city is something that everyone can benefit from. The idea of working in the cloud and living in the sun, it really rings true, especially in these times. And it's not just an experiment; it's a reality. And I think that any time that the communities can get together and talk about ourselves collectively, whether it be in aviation, whether it be in tech or financial services and so forth, we're all actually helping one another in promoting our communities collectively. Keep in mind, Jordan, that Miami represents one culture. Fort Lauderdale represents another. Palm Beach and other counties represent, different cultures. And I think that the diversity of our cultures is what it makes us so appealing. Someone may feel more comfortable moving to Miami, and that's great. Others may feel more comfortable living in Fort Lauderdale. It's just a question of, you see a lot of people from Connecticut living, say, for example, in Fort Lauderdale, and you may see fewer of them living in Miami. So you want to live amongst people that who have a familiar history with you. And so those are kinds of things that we often see. But at the same time, we all just love the idea that there's so much to see and do down here in South Florida. And I'm telling you, it's like no other place. And so as you go out to sell your new units, I'm sure they'll be banging down your door, just wanting to be part of this experience, because it's something that is unrivaled anywhere else in the state.
Terrific. And Bob, any thoughts from you on the growth of Fort Lauderdale and where you see it in the next 5 to 10 years?
So I've lived in Broward County, Fort Lauderdale my entire life. So I've watched it change dramatically. From when I was a kid and they talked of being a cultural wasteland. We didn't have a performing arts center. We didn't have symphony in South Florida, or much of a symphony, and that's all changed dramatically. We have 2 opera groups that perform in Fort Lauderdale. We have an amazing ballet company that performs here. I mentioned our performing arts center. Kelly Shanley is the CEO of our performing arts center. Does an amazing job for programming. and actively, gets the best of the best shows in Fort Lauderdale. And you've got an amazing venue there. They just opened a restaurant, but it's right on the river. So you've got, the walkability. We have a thing called the River Walk here in downtown Fort Lauderdale. It was a vision that started in the 1980s with the city. And it was, we wanted to preserve, one of the prettiest parts of this city is our new river. And, all too often in other cities, it gets built up and the public no longer has access to the river. You won't find that in Fort Lauderdale. It's a linear park. I live in a little community called Sailboat Bend, and I'm a block from the Riverwalk. It's a 15-minute walk for me to walk to my office in downtown Fort Lauderdale, but the walk is along the river. It's one of the prettiest walks, and that's open to the public. And the city made a specific investment and wanted to make sure that the public had that access forever. And the linear park is one of the things I'm most proud of in this city. And it shows the thought that went into, how this community will grow. We want to have, a lot to offer folks. We want to be a growing, we want to not be, contracting. We want to continue to grow and expand. We want to do it in a way that balances that growth with a good quality of life. And I think Fort Lauderdale has done it incredibly well. The mayor touched on it, but he deserves a lot of credit. With our boat show, we call it our annual Super Bowl. There was a chance that boat show wouldn't happen because of COVID. And the mayor and the city manager and the county mayor, they got together and they said, this is too important for our economy. How do we balance the safety of our residents and the safety of our guests with an important part of our economy? And we're smart people, we can do this. And they, back in November, put on an amazing boat show, smaller than a typical boat show would be for us, but we still did it and we did it very safely. It was, it didn't cause a spike in COVID cases. But it says a lot about how the mayor works with his counterparts at the county level and balancing, the safety of our residents and our visitors, which are obviously very important to us, with our economy. And it's not either or. And far too many business people that I talk to from other states feel really frustrated that it was all or nothing. We're going to totally shut down, stay home, don't go out. And we'll shut down for 6 or 8 weeks, and the virus will dissipate, and then we can go back out of our home seclusion. We didn't do that here, and I think when communities look, 5 years from now, having gone through the pandemic, I think Fort Lauderdale and Broward County are going to be one of the communities that people will look to as an example of getting it right. And we're all doing the best with information we're gathering sort of as we're going through this tragedy. But I think Fort Lauderdale and Broward County, even better than our counterparts in the state, did a really good job of navigating through this. And I think that's important. People need to know that if they have a business here, that the city and the county are not tone deaf to that. And they want to make sure they realize that businesses need healthy customers and healthy employees. They don't want to put people at risk either, but give them some latitude to draw standards that maintain safety, and businesses, good businesses will respond. And we did that really well this past 12 months.
Great, terrific. We're going to take a question from the Q&A. We do have somebody asking about the Brightline Any News. For those out-of-state viewers or people that aren't familiar with Southeast Florida, the Brightline is a luxurious high-speed train that opened up a couple of years ago. I think it's shut down for COVID right now, but it does have the 3 stops in Miami, Fort Lauderdale, Palm Beach, and then eventually Orlando will be the 4th stop. Mayor Dean and Bob, how are you, any news on the Brightline? I know it's been in the news lately, some talks with Elon Musk and his boring company. Can you give us any insight on that for these out-of-staters? Because especially to a lot of the Northeasterners who are used to commuting in trains, tell us a little bit about the Brightline and how it plays into the city.
Okay, sure. Originally, the Brightline concept anticipated a few stops. So they started in Miami. There's a major station there, a stop in Fort Lauderdale, a stop in West Palm Beach, and ultimately a destination in Orlando. Orlando, the station is pretty much finished now. They're just waiting to complete the route up to Orlando. But there are other station stops that are now underway. There's one in Boca Raton. There's also, I believe, one in Aventura, and there will be other stops. And so, but now you're saying, well, that cuts back on the speed. You know, you're not able to get between these spots in these sites rather in the quickest way, not the 30 minutes that Bob mentioned. So going forward, the South Florida representatives are talking about doing a commuter line now between Miami and West Palm Beach, and that's really a total game changer. Here we're finally realizing the importance of mass transportation here in South Florida and recognizing its feasibility, and so. But the thing is, you know, over time, the transportation routes have evolved too. So whereas South Florida may have 100 years ago been dependent upon the train, now we have vehicular traffic with, you know, arteries going east and west in Fort Lauderdale in particular, Broward Boulevard, Sunrise Boulevard, Davie Boulevard. These are all important east-west corridors that our suburban commuters rely upon. So if you add commuter line to the trains and adding maybe like 40 more trains a day, it would be an absolute nightmare with these guardrails coming down every few minutes and frustrating the vehicular traffic. So the Florida Department of Transportation talked about building a bridge through the city of Fort Lauderdale to not only scale over these roads, but also go over the river so that the upstream boat traffic won't be frustrated either. And I saw that as an absolute nightmare scenario, because all it would do is further divide the city, especially in the middle of a redevelopment area, and especially at a time when we're trying to connect populations that have long since been segregated, and this city has a clear history of something like that. So I said, well, let's build a tunnel. Let's build a tunnel through the city. And of course, the state said, oh, no, that would be crazy money. And so we took it upon ourselves to go out and visit the Boring Company and Elon Musk's people. And we've come back with an analysis that will permit us to do a tunnel to bury these tracks under these east-west pathways, including the river, and create more open space and further undo the divide between the demographics in our city. We've also come up with some other ideas about tunneling, not only tunneling for transportation, but also tunneling to put our infrastructure. As you know, we're doing an amazing amount of new investment in our infrastructure with sewer lines and water lines, but we can actually put these pipes in tunnels, and it's cheaper actually to do it than the type of boring we're doing now. And it also allows for easier access for maintenance or repair should something happen along the way. So it was a real eye-opener, and we'll continue to foster ideas on how to use the tunnel system in Fort Lauderdale.
That's great. Yeah, I think that would be an amazing thing for the city once it's all said and done. Amazing. And Tika, to answer your question too, we had a webinar a couple of weeks back with Brightline. We do have it posted on our social channel, 160 Marina Bay on YouTube. You can find it there. We're also going to post this webinar on our YouTube channel, 160 Marina Bay. So for all our attendees, you can definitely check it out at a later date and share it with friends and family for more info on Fort Lauderdale. Gentlemen, with that being said, we are out of time. I do want to thank you both for joining, and I want to thank our attendees as well. For more information on our project, 160 Marina Bay, you can go to 160marinabay.com. You can email me at jordan@160 Marina Bay or call our sales center at 954-939-0440. Mayor Trantalis and Bob Swindell, do you guys want to make some closing remarks, and then also tell us where we can learn more about the City of Fort Lauderdale and the Greater Fort Lauderdale Alliance?
Bob, why don't you go ahead?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So it's very easy for your folks. Just go to lesstaxing.com, lesstaxing.com, and that'll take you directly to the Alliance website. We just totally redid our website. It's got great visuals and really communicates the quality of life and what life would be like if you chose Fort Lauderdale as your home. Thank you for the time today, Jordan. Mayor, always good to see you. Thank you for all that you're doing at our city.
Thank you, Bob. And Jordan, just to wrap things up, the best way to understand Fort Lauderdale is to come back for a visit. The weather's great, the people are great, the fun is here, and really it'll be a total game changer once you have that experience here this weekend. And the reason why that's important is because you know, America is evolving. America is reimagining itself. People are understanding that there are ways to work and enjoy life and build a family and a career that they perhaps have never even thought of before. COVID has shaken up a lot of standards and ideas that we were all set in our ways. And so if there's a silver lining, unfortunately, to this devastating pandemic, it's the idea of making America more efficient, making it more enjoyable, and finding that Fort Lauderdale is the place to be. So thank you, Jordan, and thank you, Bob, and we look forward to continuing this dialogue going forward.
Terrific. Mayor, thank you so much. Bob, thank you. And you guys heard it here. Come visit Fort Lauderdale, come move to Fort Lauderdale, and buy a unit at 160 Marina Bay. Thanks, everybody, for joining.
Thanks.
Thank you, Jordan.
Have a good one. Take care.